Okay, so on this one, now we are going to learn to add or subtract three fractions with different denominators. Well, we kind of already saw that in the last video, but but that's okay. All right. So before you can add or subtract fractions, you have to have common denominator. Multiplication and division, we've seen you don't need that. But with addition and subtraction, you have to have that. So, okay, so our denominators are 4, 2, and 5. The biggest one is 5. So, whoops. Oh, boy, my hands are jittery. I'm just all excited about Christmas. Okay, so I'm going to go to the biggest number. And I'm going to say, all right, 5 times 1. Do the other guys divide into it? Nope. 5 times 2. Do they both divide into it? Well, 2 does, but 4 doesn't. Okay, moving on. How about 15? Nope. How about 20? Yep. All right, so 20 is the smallest number that 4, 2, and 5 all divide into. So it is the least common denominator. All right, so we're going to go, I'm going to take 3/4. And what do I need to multiply the 4 in the denominator by to get the LCD? Well, I got to multiply it by 5. Okay. So that'll give me 15/20. Okay, there. So the first number is going to be 15, is going to be rewritten as 15/20. That's the same thing as 3/4. Let's face it. If you attempt 20 free throws and you make 15 of them, well, you made 3/4 of them. Okay. All right. Now let's try the next one. 1/2. That's typically pretty easy. We want to rewrite 1/2 with a denominator of 20. Some of you can just do that in your head, and that's cool. If not, no big deal. I would say, what do I need to multiply that denominator 2 by to get the LCD? Just like I said, what do I multiply the denominator 4 by to get the LCD? Well, I would need to multiply 2 by 10, and so I do it to the top as well. And I get 10/20. Okay, so that's my second number. Now it's time for my last one. Okay, so the last one is 2/5. All right, so 2/5. What do I multiply the denominator by to get the LCD? 4. And 4 times 2 is 8. And 4 times 5 is 20. And I get 8/20. Okay, now the denominators are the same, so I can add them together real easily. 15 plus 10 is 25. Plus 8 is, what is that, 33, I think? I better double check here. Yeah, 33. Okay. And so 33/20. And that is what you would do. And so, as you can see, this is very closely associated with what we've been doing in the last couple of videos. All right. So, who can see what you share here? Okay. So on this one, now we're going to have signed fraction addition or subtraction. Okay. So what's different about this one is there's this negative sign out front. Well, that's not really going to affect things very much, to be honest. It's going to be just about the same as last stuff. Okay. So, but again, when you have addition or subtraction, you have to have common denominators. So I'll take my two denominators and I'll go with the bigger one and I'll say, all right, 7 times 1, does 2 divide into that? Nope. 7 times 2, does 2 divide into that? Yep. So that's going to be, I guess that's going to be our LCD. All right. So, so let's take negative 1/2. And what do we have to multiply the denominator by to get our target denominator, 14? Well, you got to multiply it by 7. So I got to do it to the top and the bottom. Now, this minus sign that's out in front, like I've said before, you can have it out in front or up on top or on the bottom, whatever. I'm just going to interpret it as being on top each time, whenever, that's an issue. So negative 1 times 7 is negative 7, and the bottom is 2 times 7 is 14. Okay. All right. So how about 4 sevenths? Well, what do I have to multiply the denominator by to get the least common denominator? Hopefully you're noticing I keep asking that question every time. Got to multiply it by 2. So I got to do the top by 2. And I get 8/14. And when you do this, you have to resist the inner desire you have burning deep within your soul to say, hey, I'm going to cancel the 2s, or I'm going to cancel the 7. Okay, because then it just takes you right back to where you were. All righty, so we've got all that. So now the negative 1/2 is being represented by negative 7/14. And then we've got that subtraction sign that we didn't ever do anything with. And then the 4 sevenths, that's going to be represented by the 8/14. Okay, so we've got negative, okay, so the denominators are the same. So we know that in the answer, it's going to be a 14 for the denominator. So we've got negative 7 minus 8. Well, isn't that just negative 15? Negative 15. Or, yeah, and like I've said before, you can write it like that, or you can write it with the negative out front, or you can write it with the negative in the bottom. I tend to put it on top, but it doesn't matter. Just make sure you just have one negative sign in your answer. So that is how it is done. Yippee! Okay, on this one, double negation, meaning you have a negation sign and then another one right after it. Okay, just right next to each other with no number in between them. So a guy I used to work with, he used to he would take off the winter term to travel because he was retired, and he was just teaching part-time, and he would always go to Death Valley in his motorhome, and because the weather there is real nice in the winter. I don't know why I would go there. I'm like, there's nothing much to look at, but unless you're like a geologist. Anyway, so what he would say when you've got a minus, the double negation, he would say, you pull out your double barrel shotgun and you go blam, blam, and they both become plus. Okay, so this is 7/4 plus a positive 1/6, or just plus 1/6. So anytime you've got minus a minus, they just both become plus. Okay, if there's no number between it. If it's something like 7/4 minus 2/3 minus 1/8, well, there's a number in between these two minus signs, and therefore this is not the same thing as what we're talking about. Okay. All right. So we've got this. So now it's just like what we were doing before. Okay. So when you got minus a minus, double negation, it just becomes a plus, and it's like what we did before. We can say, all right, well, the LCD is going to be 12. That's the smallest number 6 and 4 both divide into. So I can multiply 4 by 3 and 6 by 2. And so then we get 21/12 plus 2/12. And that'll be 23/12. And there'll be other times when we say, let's convert that to a mixed number. I don't think, but that's kind of the idea right there. So if we just really quick look at another, we could say, hey, look at that, it's a double negation. Blam, blam. So that's going to be the same thing as positive 1/6 plus 5/8. And then you would go ahead and do it. And hopefully you would get something that looks a lot like 19/24. Okay. Anyway, there's that. All right, here we go. Last topic for this section. Word problem involving addition or subtraction of fractions to different denominators. All right, so you walk half a mile to a shoe store. Cool. Sounds like me growing up. Then you walk. Well, wait a minute. If you're going to the shoe store, I hope that your shoes still work enough that you can walk there. Otherwise, that could be rather uncomfortable. Then you walk another 1/5 of a mile to a clothing store. So how many miles did you walk in all? So you walked a half a mile, and you also walked another 1/5 of a mile. So we got to get common denominators. The smallest number 2 and 5 divide into is 10. So I could multiply by 5 over 5 here and 2 over 2 here. And let's see, was it this color? And that might be it. So that gives me 5/10 plus 2/10 is 7/10. And that does not simplify. It's just there's no common factors in 7 and 10. So 7/10 of a mile. So almost 3/4 of a mile. 3/4 of a mile would be 7.5 tenths. Excuse me. Let's do one more. Okay, so in this one, Ryan, hey, I just addressed a Christmas card to a friend named Ryan this morning. Ryan made a shirt using 1/5 of a meter of red fabric and 3/4 of a meter of green fabric. How many more meters of green did Ryan use? Oh, well, let's say that it was, it was like maybe 6 meters of green and 2 meters of red. And if we say, how much more green did he use? Well, you'd say, well, 6 minus 2. You'd subtract, you do bigger one minus smaller one to get 4 more meters. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to do bigger one minus smaller one. Okay. 3/4 minus 1/5. All right. So the smallest number that 4 and 5 divide into is 20, I think. 5, 10, 15, 20. Yeah. So that means I'm going to multiply this by 5 over 5 and this by 4 over 4. And then we'll get 15/20 minus 4/20. Because remember, anytime you add or subtract, you have to have common denominators. Otherwise, it doesn't make sense and therefore doesn't work. So 11/20. Now this one is a word problem. So on the last one, I should have included miles. I need to include my units though of meters. So 11/20 meters, and that would be how I would do it.